Easy, how are we?
Johnny, I usually have something smart today to say. I really don't. It's a good, this week is exciting. I have to say. You said to me before, difference between nerves and excitement is a deep breath, but that doesn't say why my armpits are sweating profusely in the build up to the Barcelona marathon. We are down 7 days. It's actually less. It's now 6 days and 20 hours. I'd say at this time, we're recording now on a Sunday. This time next week, I'll be in a pub. Hopefully, I really hope it's not longer than this. But this time, I'll be in a pub in Barcelona celebrating, completing at some time the Barcelona Marathon with 42 new comrades, I suppose, in the marathon. I'm really looking forward to it now. We're getting close. Something that felt so far away is now pretty much on the doorstep. The lucky side is you had the privilege of meeting some of these crazy folk who decided to travel with us this weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, you organise in terms of the trip and the gear and all the rest. And I have to say, before I start talking about this weekend with meeting people, I'm sure other marathon trips are done around the world. Obviously, they are, and other marathon trips have gear bags. Other marathon trips may have hats. Other marathon trips may have t-shirts. But I think this is the first one where it's like, you're running this t-shirt and this, pal, is your drinking t-shirt. So, boola bus on that one, Eric.
Look, you have to start as you mean to go on. You have to set the tone. There's guys and girls on this trip that instantly, when I said, this is your drinking t-shirt, I saved them about 5 kilos of packing. They're like, oh, thank God. I know exactly what I'm wearing Sunday nights. And look, when it's kind of like, it's really weird because obviously we run a podcast. We're faceless, essentially, as it should be for us. But it's going to be a blind date. So the power of the t-shirt, you're not necessarily going to run the race with these people. You're going to get a glimpse of them on the plane. You might necessarily be sitting beside them. But when you have a few fizzy drinks and you're like, am I on my own? And you look around and you're just looking for the green and the sea of green and white. And you're like, no, it's okay. There's still about 20 of us left. You can actually count down when it's time to go home to bed. When you're the only t-shirt left in the room, that should be a sign. That should be a sign it's time to go. But it's look, it's a great idea, and the idea is we travel as a group, and running is a very individual sport. And when we get to that start line, we'll walk down together, we'll show up together. But when the gun goes, there's 42 kilometers between you and your brain, and that's really all it is. What's done is done. Good, bad, or indifferent. Some of us are going to have a great race. Some are going to get great PBs. Some of us, like me, are just going to make sure everyone else finishes ahead of me.
Good man.
Just going to make sure no man or woman gets left behind. And I'm proud to do that for this weekend. But it is always a privilege and something that we should remember. The ability to start a marathon is a privilege, and delighted that we get to share that as a group. And that's what we're trying to do this weekend, and hopefully have some fun and slag in and a bit of community, I suppose, with it over a weekend on a city break in Barcelona.
It's mad that we've been also lucky that there's been no injuries in the last couple of weeks and months that people have had to pull out of doing the marathon. They're just there to wear the drinking t-shirt and all that. But today I got to meet a good few of the lads doing the Phoenix Park, and it's been a while since I ran the Phoenix Park on a Sunday morning. And I don't know people, and obviously they hear my voice, and I've been told plenty of times doing races, we know it's you because you have a distinct voice, which I think is a compliment, Eric. I'm not so
I think it's an
sure.
insult, but they're being
It probably
nice
is. It's a nice way of saying an insult to me, but I was pulling in, so we're all meeting the Pope's Cross, and there's loads of crews there doing it. I'm like, I have no idea where I'm looking, what I was looking at. Of course, I've got the Any Given Run Day t-shirt and a hat on me, so hopefully I stand out when I hop out of the car and someone will say, there we go for the bag. But thankfully, Monroe was there with his Any Given Run Day t-shirt. I'm like, right, that's the crew I'm supposed to be there. There's around 5 or 6 lads there waiting and handing out the bags. And man, I could barely organise handing bags from the car to people asking for themselves and their better halves and stuff as well for that, let alone the entire trip. And then, where are we running? I'm like, Monroe, take over. So we had a great 12K run, and just I know I've said this many times in the podcast, but the amount of people running the Phoenix Park with different crews, different paces. Like we got passed out a good few times by some of the faster paces, like Maeve Brannigan's group has been in the podcast before, and a few others as well. I think I saw Ken O'Driscoll one stage just passing us, and just seeing the different groups out at 8 o'clock in the morning through the park. And it's rare we say it. There's many times I've joked the podcast not seeing that big yellow burning thing in the sky. It was out today, and it was class, a great crew, and it really got me excited for the Barcelona trip coming up this weekend. I'm just really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and it is good. And I suppose it's probably something as a podcast. Maybe we'll start looking at doing random runs around the country to try and include people, because we kind of forget that, what we have as a community. We have a running community, and we keep people company as they go on their individual journeys, and with great stories and hopefully fantastic guests and continue to do so. But I suppose, you kind of forget that people just sometimes like to get together and do a couple of kilometers and get to know people and feel like, they're not alone on those kind of journeys. And the Phoenix Park, I suppose, is a focal point for everyone who's nearby. I know years gone by, me and you used to come from two parts of the country just to meet in Phoenix Park, halfway between the two, and we could go for a run together. And that was our only interaction over a week. And that kept us going through 2 or 3 years, So it is important for people. And it is that thing that is said so many times: when you surround yourself with people who align their goals to yours, it's easy. When you're in the Phoenix Park and you see hundreds, and it is getting to the stage of hundreds of people running on a Sunday morning, you feel like, do you know what, this is great. Every one of these people here, we're all doing something different. And someone might sprint past you and you'd be like, yeah, well, I'm on my long run.
It's my excuse all the time.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna bite. I'm gonna let you go today. It is that satisfying feeling that you're not alone, even if you are on your own. You had a great, I suppose, testament to that. There was a group of us. It was like blind date. Sean was meeting strangers for the first time. We were gonna go for a 12K run, and then someone just joined in the group and was like, "Can I run with you guys every week?"
Yeah, I was mad at the end here, and I was like, "Oh, this could be a weekly thing." Jumping in at the end, but it's when we're doing this podcast, because we've been doing it weekly now for 5 years, and it's always the next one. So it's mad hearing people's different perspectives on what we do and our strengths and weaknesses. Like a couple of weeks ago, when we had Anto leading the podcast and we were about to record, and I'm going through the intro, and believe it or not, even though I fumble my lines sometimes, I put a lot of work into that. So I'm putting my work into it, and I'm like talking to Eric just before Anto comes on. I'm like, Spartathon. You're like, yeah, no, Spartathon. It's not Spartathlon, it's Spartathon. Yeah, I'll say Spartathon. So as we're talking about to start to record the podcast, we're just talking shop or whatever. And Anto goes, Sean, you remind me of that bald guy that does the documentaries on TV and goes around the world. And my ego is like, he's talking about Ross Kemp facing gangs and stuff and being a hard man. That's not true at all. I knew exactly what he was thinking. And he's like, yeah, Carl Pilkington, an idiot abroad. And I'm like, here's me trying to build you up with ultra marathons and stuff like that. Okay, why do you think this? Like, no, because it's like, Sean, you get sent off doing these mad races, and Eric's the mastermind and organizing everything behind it. He's the Ricky Gervais type person. I'm like, okay, Eric's the funny guy, and I'm just the idiot. I see where this is going.
Wait until Anto's proved right in Barcelona.
But what's also mad is, like, we didn't prepare this. When you started that the podcast was saying, the difference between excitement and nerves, that big deep breath. I remember where we were saying that, and that was when we were driving in to do the Dublin Marathon. And in my head, that's a year ago. But that was back in 2022. And is that the last event we've done together? Because of obviously all the traveling and stuff you've done, apart from the Ring of Kerry, the last race we've done, I think, is that. So it's mad that like, just with everything else going on and time flying so fast and all the rest, it's like, okay, we get to finally do a race together. I haven't seen you in person since you got engaged, sir. So it's a lot of shit going on personally, as well as this really cool thing we're doing, the podcast and all. And for us, it's just a really, really exciting week coming up.
Winter training? You need UltraPure Laboratories Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream.
Recommended by physios, trusted by athletes, and tried and tested by ourselves, this is an essential warming muscle rub for cold winter days.
UltraPure Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream is perfect for warming up muscles before exercise.
And ideal for soothing tired muscles, which, let's face it, marathon training, we could definitely do with that.
If you're concerned about the ingredients, it contains wintergreen oil, rosemary camphor oil, juniper berry oil, and antioxidant-rich caffeine powder. Sean has no idea what any of these means, but he knows that they work.
It keeps me warm too. Apply UltraPure Laboratories Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream liberally on problem areas such as the legs, arms, back, neck, and shoulders, and massage as well. Boy, rinse hands well with cool water after use. I have made that mistake. It is not fun.
Guaranteed Irish and made in County Mayo, UltraPure Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream is available in pharmacies and health stores nationwide. Shop the UltraPure Muscle Recovery range in-store or online and find out more at ultrapurelabs.ie. By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish podcasts and Irish businesses. Let's get back to the podcast. Yeah, and it is that. And again, we touched on that point again. For us, it's an excuse to get to meet up, and never mind bringing 42 people with us for that experience.
It's a privilege.
And it's such a privilege. It's such a shock. We mentioned something once on a podcast, and 42 people sign up in a week. Like, it's still doesn't make sense. We hope that it goes to be a success, and it is something to look forward to. And hopefully, as we look to the years ahead, people are already asking us, where are we going next year? And we don't even know how this one is going to go. Yeah, give us a chance. But we do hope there are ideas circling overhead, and one of them will be plucked out soon enough. And maybe there will be a marathon next year, or definitely a trip to get together for a run somewhere else in the world. So we'll keep everyone updated on that. But that is probably a lot about us this week, and hopefully we've built up the excitement for those people who are traveling with us, who have done a phenomenal 16 weeks. We wish them well, and we'll get to see them in person, but it is going to be, again, another accumulation of a lot of training, a lot of hard work through the winter, which, not for me, for all of you guys, through a pretty harsh winter, I suppose, and wind, rain and cold. So it's time to go to the victory lap now, and I suppose no better way then to move on to who's this week's guest to motivate us a little bit more.
Well, like you said there, a year's time, a lot can happen in a year, in 12 months. And let's just get through this weekend first. But our next guest is a prime example of what happened in 12 months. Her journey over the last year has been absolutely phenomenal, getting into trail running, get all these different events and stuff she seems to throw into every single week. I'm not too sure she sleeps, and somehow she does martial arts and kick both our asses as well. So I'm really excited for people to listen to this one, and just a good bit of motivation to push people on towards and just aiming high in races and see what you can do.
Kick your ass. Let's just clarify the points there.
I won't deny it. And with that said,
this is another good one, and it's another phenomenal person in the world that is in Irish running. And again, some inspiration there for people. If you haven't got started yet, if you're still looking for inspiration to get the engine going for this year ahead, this is a fantastic episode for what can be done in terms of managing your time and moving yourself towards what you love.
And with that said, it is this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. Let's go. So this week on the Any Given Run Day podcast, we have a fitness coach, personal trainer, who is also an ultra runner, trail runner, and still finds times for martial arts, sea swimming, and a whole lot more that we're going to find out this week in the podcast. Niamh Fitzpatrick, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. How are you getting on?
Hello guys, how are you? I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Niamh, can you fight Sean for me? I'm a little bit afraid of him. But,
we'll see.
I knew he'd pick up on that.
Honestly,
I was going to challenge him. I was going to challenge him a couple of weeks ago in the Arsenal, but it didn't happen. So I'm going to have to wait a little bit longer. Hey? Is he going to do it in April or?
He was never more happy to see snow.
Niamh, if you're going to try and be at the end of that race, you'll be waiting a good 4, 5, 6 hours if I made it to the end. I don't want to answer all questions on me, but I won't be doing it in May. I've had to defer to
the following year.
Yeah, the following year. Otherwise, my marriage would have been short-lived to one day. So literally, that's why I could not have done that this year. So I'm not chickening out people listening. Oh, he's backing out of it now. I would have loved to have done it in May. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's the middle of the winter and all the rest, and they obviously had to cancel it, but that just seems a lot more great crack now doing like more light and all the rest and going through it. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, well, I have deferred it till next year just because there's so much other things happening from like March onwards. I would have done it if I was guaranteed a spot next year, but then if you do it in May, you're not guaranteed to actually get the winter experience. So I was like, I'm just going to defer till next January. At least I'll be able to do the route like 100 times between now and then. I'll do it summer and winter, But I didn't enjoy it. The training was deadly.
Yeah, you make me feel bad. Exposure.
I was loving it. I was loving all these mud baths and lake dips in the middle of the night. It was loving life.
So if anyone's following me on Instagram, like I was seeing pictures of you up there in the snow and stuff like that, and I was like, I haven't been up there yet. I haven't been, and thankfully, a few people have brought me up there up there to show me where exactly the cross and all the rest was. I got lost the last time, but seeing all those pics and stuff and the amount of times you're doing that route, I'm like, I'm screwed. So thanks for making me feel bad. Your Instagram made me feel horrible about it.
And then after all that, it all got cancelled. But anyways, anyways, we'll keep going.
So Niamh, you have quite the resume, and how we start every podcast, and one thing we do, we'd like to know, we're nosy. How did you get such a resume like that? Where did sport start for you, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, I've always been into like health and fitness and sport. When I left school, I studied sport and recreation in Athlone. And then after that, then I kind of just worked casually, like in shops and all the rest before I went traveling. And I traveled for about 5 years. And then when I came back, then I got back, I studied again. And then ever since I stayed in Ireland, I just got my head stuck in health, fitness, sport, everything. And then I just from working in the industry, I guess, I just got into, when I lived abroad, I got big into like outdoors. I lived in Canada for quite some time. So it's really outdoors out there. Like you live in a city and you're surrounded by the mountains. And then I moved to Australia afterwards. I wouldn't say I was as active as I was in Australia as I was in Canada. And then I got into all the hiking and stuff. And then when I came back to Ireland, I was hiking quite a bit. And then I was like, I'm just can't walk these mountains anymore. I always just wanted to run. And then I stopped hiking like altogether. I always used to run a bit, but like not competitively. And I have a competitive streak, but like when it came to running, I always just used to do it for, I don't know, to feel good, part of my daily routine. And then, after the hiking, then I just got big into the trail running. Then I joined the club, Irish Mountain Trail Runners. I'm involved in them quite a bit. And they just got me really like into all these long distances and stuff. And I'm hooked.
So when you look at the races like this, obviously sport, fitness you've probably ticked every young 20-year-old, 30-year-old's dream, Canada, Australia. I've no doubt loads of places in between while you were there.
And I just traveled heaps. You learn loads about yourself when you travel as well. And then when I ended up having to move home because of visas and stuff, I was like, that's all I want to do.
Yeah. And so where did the kind of fitness instruction come into it? Was that before you went into the mountain running, or when you came home, was it like the eureka moment of, look, sport is for me and I'd rather be working in sport, or when did that happen for you?
Looking to recover faster, train harder, and perform better?
And then what?
Perform Nutrition is one of Ireland's leading sports nutrition brands with a number of great tasting protein powders, a range of vitamins, as well as other supplements such as creatine. All products are made in the GMP facility in the west of Ireland, and they have a range of batch tested and informed sports certified products. Perform is trusted by a number of Olympians, High Rocks champions such as Sean Noble, he was in the podcast.
Yeah, right, he was.
Also CrossFit Games athletes such as Emma McQuaid and many more. Perform's goal is to offer the highest quality, best tasting nutrition products for competitive prices. And now you can get an extra 25% off all products with the code AGR on their website, performnutrition.com.
25%? I'm typing it in now. And don't forget, we are supporting Irish companies. You are supporting this podcast by listening to this advert. So support Irish, get behind your podcast and get behind your local businesses. And until then, let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah, I always had it, even before I travelled. And then I kind of just done hospitality and stuff when you travel. And then
you don't really do it. You do
you just
everything
want
else
to
in
go,
between
you
to stay
work
flexible.
for like a month, and you travel for a month, you work for a month. Like I always had a base while traveling, but you just, like, especially living in Canada, when you work in hospitality, like you just live off your tips. It was amazing. Yeah, then when I come home again, when I decided that I was staying in Ireland, I was like, that's it, I'm just going to get stuck back into sport and fitness and all the rest. And yeah, that's what happened. But I'm originally from Laois, and then I moved up to Dublin. It was just after, I think it was just after COVID I moved up. I'm here about 3 years. So there's a lot more happening up here than there would be down home.
So you're back over here doing personal training, fitness coaching, and
Yeah.
all the rest.
Yeah.
And did you jump straight then into trail running from there, or did you start on road running? Or like some people, they say, we've had a lot of people started road running and they tried one trail, but because you're hiking and stuff, you just bypassed the road running and went straight into trails.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I was always doing a bit of road running, but like no long distance at all. And then I was hiking quite a bit, and then after the hiking, I stopped hiking. I was just like started being into the trails. Then I still would run the road, but not competitively. Like I ran this morning out there. It's pretty miserable, but yeah, more like for races and long distances, it's trails. Yeah.
And when was that first trail event that you started to get more competitive? So I'm looking at your stats, and you're up there near the top of the podium. You've got a couple of age category wins and all the rest. So when did you realize I'm actually pretty good at this?
So I was trying to think back. I joined the Irish Mountain Trail Runners. It was like November 23. And then that March was the Morris Mullins, the 50K. And that was my longest trail. I remember being at 38K on that race, but like, I feel grand. I was like, this is strange. I remember doing the 50K and I was like, it felt fine. I was like, this is strange. And then the next big one after that then was we done the Backyard Ultra 100K. That was 106K. And I was still feeling, okay. And then I was just like, time-wise wasn't bad. And then the club they do a Barclay challenge every year. And that was like a week later. So I ran the 106. And then a week later, I done the 42 trails and I won that. And I was like, then I was getting the drug. And then we qualified then for the Team Leinster, the second Backyard Ultra that was up the north in Fermanagh. I got to about 130K on that. And the distances just kept growing. And all these races were so close together. And then I done the Kerry Way in September. That was 100K. And time wasn't bad on that. And then I think 2 weeks later, I done the Eco Trail 80K. And
a week later, did a marathon in the mountains. And I have some of the list here. I'm pulling you way back. Because people aren't realizing what you did there. The numbers are impressive. The distance is impressive. But you didn't just do a Backyard Ultra. You did the one out in Leinster, right? So you did.
Yeah, we went up to Fermanagh to do that one. Yeah, that was amazing.
Well up the mountains and all the rest. So the incline on that one, and you're only into trail running.
Yeah.
Since we're not talking about like Niamh started back in 2020 and built yourself up. You're in like a couple of months, and all of a sudden you're doing 115 laps or something in May with all those inclines. That's 15 hours up there. I did that. Eric will tell you he had to bring the car up. And the passenger seat, I'm not even exaggerating here. I had to grab my legs and lift them, my own legs, into the car. I was that much in bits. I got back to the house and there's a small little step for a walk-in shower.
Yeah.
It was like absolutely everything I had to just step over that trying to get the shower. I did nothing for 2-3 days afterwards. I was in the heat. So the fact that you did more than that, and then the next week you're off doing another 100K, how in the name of Michael Jeffrey Jordan are you recovering each week and getting back out there doing these mad runs? Like, how is your body doing
and
that?
That's the thing. I feel grand. Like, as you mentioned before, like I'm big into sea swimming, regular saunas. I do hot yoga once a week. Like I do prioritize recovery in there as well. Sleep, I've learned the hard way. I try to get as much sleep as I can. But like for injuries and stuff, I swear by that. Like I get into the sea every morning. I kind of use saunas maybe 2-3 times a week, hot yoga every Monday. And then I do a lot of strength and conditioning. I swear by strength and conditioning. Like you see runners out there that don't lift weights at all. And I'm thinking, please do.
So what does your strength program look like? Because I'm big into this myself.
Monday evening I would do strength and like S&C, so it'd be like a lower body evening. And then Tuesday morning would be a push. And then Thursday morning would be a pull. And then Friday and it's like posterior chain. So I do like, deadlifts and all that jazz. And then Saturdays I do my long distances on a Saturday morning, and then Sundays I kind of just left low. Might do short, run, sauna, sea dip, and then try to get to bed early. But
That
yeah,
was my
Monday to
follow-up
Sunday,
question.
I'm very like set. My routine is set, and then Sunday I kind of just let flow.
A
See
lot
how
of
the day
people,
goes.
a lot of people have asked us in the podcast about how we have it over the Christmas stuff, and even we're honest about we don't know how to answer this in terms of strength training and getting all your runs and stuff. And you've got a ton of mileage, and they're like, I'm trying to do both.
Yeah,
You seem to do
yeah,
the long run on the Saturday and then
yeah,
like a recovery CSIM Sunday. Your Monday lower
yeah,
body session. Like, are we talking
yeah.
heavy? Are we talking endurance? Are we talking pulling back? Like, how does that work? And how do you feel when you do that? Do you feel like you're ready to go after the Sunday sea swim and that you're able to push as hard as you can? Or does sometimes your strength have to take a backseat to the amount of running you do and how
Yeah,
much you accumulate your miles each week?
yeah, absolutely. So the Monday evening is the only day I would do a lower body. Well, I do a little bit of posterior chain a lot on a Friday, but like depends on how I felt. Like say yesterday morning, what did I do yesterday? I done 24 yesterday, and I was grand after. So tomorrow I'll feel fine. And usually on a Monday morning about 8:30, I'll do like a run. Could be like 7 or 8K, and then yeah, it depends on how I am the week of that weekend. Like if I run the weekend and I feel fine the Monday, it's gonna stay the same. If I had a race on or a long distance and I have another one coming up, I'll ease back on the weights. Yeah, absolutely. I'll still train, but I just won't lift as heavy. Yeah. But I won't
So,
it's just as important as getting out for a run. Like I wouldn't miss it because I had a long run on Saturday. I would just go extra light, you know?
so how do clients feel when they show up to you and they're like, she's after running 130K and she's here squatting in front of me on a Monday, not a bother on her. And I'm giving out because
There's a lad in work and
I'm a
he's
little
like,
bit overweight.
there's not even he's like, there's not
How?
even a house that will take you in. He just be slagging me off. But it's good, like, because people do question it. But like I do find when you do like challenges like that, like hard things all the time, like Monday morning in work is easy. You know what I mean? Because it just seems like the weeks seem easier when you put yourself through something so hard. It's just the my week in work just seems a lot easier. People think it's bizarre, but yeah, I enjoy it. So it just makes things a bit easier.
In terms of kind of walking the walk and talking the talk, do you find then when it comes to building relationships with clients, having put yourself through so many different things and sticking to that consistent lifestyle, does
Yeah,
that resonate more with them? Do you find a bigger benefit to that so that in fact doing these races helps your career hand in hand
absolutely.
and it's worth it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I'm a PT and a fitness coach. I coach in a semi-private gym near me here in Dunleary, and I have loads of clients. But like my clients are just through what I do. You know what I mean? Because they admire what I do. So that's how I get clients as well. It's great. Yeah.
You must have a lot of like-minded clients. Someone could look at what you, I mean, to put it at a level, probably a lot of people listen to the podcast. If they run a lot and someone doesn't run that much, they might say, hey, come run with me. And like, oh God, I'm not running with you because you're too fast and all that kind of crack. But does that translate to personal training as well for you sometimes in terms of, oh my God, she does 130K and there she is deadlifting this and that and all
Yeah,
the rest?
there is that side of it as well, because some people in the classes be like, almost afraid to work with me sometimes because of the toughness. But they're just them type of people. You have people that just want the easy training, the easy life, just come in, and then you have the other people that want more, and you know what I mean. They're probably my kind of people. You
That's
attract
fair.
the good one. You attract them. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So at what point did sea swimming become a staple? Because obviously Leash isn't known for its sea swimming. So was it moving up to Dublin, or was it your time away in Canada with the glacial water,
Yeah,
or
it was
when did it
after
become a staple?
It was after the lockdown, to be honest. We were all just sitting home, and I never used sea dipping or cold immersion for recovery. It was something to do after lockdown. We were all off work. We were allowed to travel again. I remember the first time we come up, my sister and her partner come up, and we got into the ocean. We loved it. So we kept coming up regularly because we had not much else to do. It was something to do. And when we went back to work then, I was working in Offaly at the time, and I was like, how am I going to get up for a sea dip and go back to work? Because I was hooked on it at that stage. It's quite addictive. And because I kept traveling up, I was meeting people. There's a community at the 40 foot, like you're always going to meet someone you know. And I got friendly with quite a bunch of people up there, and they're like, Niamh, you need to move up. So I was like, okay, maybe I will. So I was like, I just took the bullet. Then I started looking for jobs up here. I found the job, but I have somewhere to live. So I was commuting for a while. I was like, am I really doing this? Is it really worth it? And then I got a job near the ocean, and then I was living in Terranure then when I first moved up. And then it just all worked out. So now I work in Dún Laoghaire, live in Dún Laoghaire, live across from the 40-foot, swim every morning, run every day. And it just all worked out. Yep.
You moved. You changed everything based on your love for sea swimming.
Pretty much.
The Irish Sea.
And then all fell into place.
I love donuts, but I won't move next to Krispy Kremes.
That is phenomenal.
My God, that is a commitment. Like that is.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose if you want something, go get it. You know, and everything else will work out. I suppose, is it?
Yeah. I'm all in or I'm all out. It's like the sea dipping. It's like the running, my training, my job, my lifestyle. You know what I mean? When I'm in, I'm in. It's like these races that even this year kind of trying to plan out stuff. And my goal is the podium. I'm going to do a few more IMRAs, a few big ones coming up. And yeah, I want to win.
And we're going to get back to the race in a second, but just that all in, all out. And this is something I'm jealous of. People I work with they find time. I don't know how to do it, to do other stuff outside of their own kind of training and stuff, whether it's like playing football or GA or different things like that. And I then look at what you're doing, and you're right up there, podium and these trail runs, stuff like that you talk about. I can see how the connection to sea swimming, the recovery, the hot yoga and all the rest. Yeah. And then there's a picture of your Instagram and you're hanging out with Paddy Houlihan getting purple belts and stuff.
Yeah.
How are you climbing the ranks in that as well as the running as well? It's genuinely phenomenal. You're finding the time, and I'm assuming you do that thing. Sleep, like I'm assuming that comes into it somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like how's the martial arts thing going for you?
It's going amazing, and I was actually really surprised with getting my purple belt because the running, I'm going to be honest, the running did take over a little bit from the mixed martial arts. Like I still train, and people do forget that because I might not post it a lot as I do with the running, but I still train my jiu-jitsu 2-3 nights a week, definitely a Tuesday, Thursday, and then a Friday evening. And yeah, then when I got promoted my purple belt, I was like, wow, because it just shows like I was still there, still committed, and still showing up, still putting in the work. And for me, I thought I wasn't putting in enough because of the running took over a bit. But yeah, I was delighted. So it's just, I'm still balancing it all out very nicely. Some people are like, what don't you do? I'm like, sleep. But I have prioritized sleep because I have learned the hard way that like sleep is everything. You can eat well, train well, but sleep. But I do prioritize sleep as much as I can.
So if you're coming second in a race and you're within arm's length of a fellow competitor, can you use your purple belt skills?
Yeah, absolutely.
What way do we get that crossover that we assure first place? Sean knew where this was going as I started. Because I definitely, if me and Sean were in a race and there was a couple of seconds between us, I would choke him out just to cross that finish line ahead of him.
Prison rules.
Oh, stop. Yeah,
what do you love
on the trails?
Yeah. Niamh, there's such diversity between the sports. Martial arts, obviously, particularly jiu-jitsu, it's using energy efficiently. It's not being aggressive. When everyone thinks it is all about aggression, it's actually about timing, it's about control, it's about movement.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How do you find the interest to be maintained between them all? Because when I do the odd triathlon, it just takes over because there's 3 different sports. When you're doing mountain running, to the scale you're doing it, not surprising, can take over. But to have so many interests and a job that you have to have interest in the person you're working, how do you keep the motivation, probably not the word, but the enthusiasm to keep in so many different things?
Yeah, let's just say I'm quite an adrenaline junkie. So I get kind of that dopamine hit from them all, I guess. The running at the minute is like, I'm doing quite well in it. So it's keeping me in, you know what I mean? And keep me wanting more. Like jiu-jitsu, just got promoted my purple belt. So that's keeping me in the game, keeping me motivated. And it's just like they're both quite 2 competitive sports, and I'm quite competitive. Like the running, you can go far. Jiu-jitsu, you can go far. Like obviously my next goal is to get me brown belt in a couple of years. Jiu-Jitsu last year, I didn't compete. I would have been quite competitive, and that's why I was surprised I got my purple belt. But obviously, you don't have to compete to get graded either, because I was focusing on all these mad races, because it was so hard to like run 100K, and then like you can still train in jiu-jitsu, but when you're trying to train for a competition too, it's extra. So that's why I kind of pulled back from competing in jiu-jitsu. But my goal is this year is to jump back in with my purple belt to compete. But the biggest thing this year is like, it's all doable. It's just I'm going to space them out a bit more wisely and do them a bit more like smart. Like last year, I just was like back to back to back to back. I was getting by and I was happy out. It was lovely. But when it comes to performance, if I want to like, you know, beat time this year, or like maybe come first or whatever, it's just going to have to be spaced out just a little bit better.
Can I ask as well, to touch on probably the backyard ultras a little bit, because you've glassed through it, you breezed through it and said, it was great, I loved it, and I just kept going further. I actually want to see what breaks Niamh. At what point in these were you like, I'm hurting here? You know, when did the pain cave happen? Because we all smile, we all have as much fun as we can. But when you go off into that night and it's just you and the head torch, how much did at times it hurt? Because obviously at some point you have to stop. And what caused you to stop? Or, you know, and I'm trying to find out where the happy stops for Niamh and where it was like, actually, I was hurting pretty bad there.
To be honest, running through the night is my favorite, because I had done the 2 backyard ultras, and running through the night, I was like deadly. And that's what made me actually sign up for the Kerry way, because I knew it was all through the night. I was like, you start that night and you run the whole way through the night. I was like deadly. So in the first backyard ultra, there was a steep climb in that. But I knew when it got dark, it was just going to be out and back. So that's all I kept telling myself in my head, because it was my IT band, my glute. There was something just all on my right side, like was killing me every time I climbed that. Like serious pain. I think I was going around to everyone's tent looking for painkillers. I was like, there's only so many painkillers I can take. And all I could remember was telling them, like, when it gets dark, that incline was going to be taken away, and it was just going to be an out and back, out and back. So I just kept pushing myself through that pain until I got about 10 o'clock at night. The route changed out and back. And then it got a little bit better mentally and physically, because the pain was easing because I had that steep climb. Yeah, and I was in a lot of pain.
And then obviously sunrise was the enemy. When the sun came up, that was the end of you, was it?
I'm all for sunrise, and it's when you see the sun coming up the next day and you're into the new day, it's just like, yes, Debbie. To be honest, the top of them all is the Kerry way so far. We just got a magic night for that. The sunrise the next day, the stars in the night, it was just deadly. Coffee at 3 a.m. in the morning, it was loving life.
So do you take these on your own? Do you stay involved with a group? Obviously, you've met a lot of people through sea swimming. You moved your whole life based on Dunleary, and
pretty much.
So when you take on the likes of the Kerry way, are you going alone? Are you part of a group?
So the Kerry way was on me. I decided to do it. Obviously, I had mentioned it in the running club that I was going to do it. Was anyone interested? And then no one really was interested, because it was around the time where other things were happening. Like the club do a Barclay event that like the week after the Kerry way, so no one really wanted to do it too close together. So I just went down, and I knew people that were doing it, and I ended up kind of staying with them in a hotel. But it was kind of a race where I was like mentally prepared. I had no distractions. I had the hotel to myself. There was a sauna in the hotel. I was kind of getting my gear ready all evening, and then I met a girl that I knew just from social media. Social media is great too for me, meeting people. I remember waiting on the bus, and she came to sit beside me and chat with me. We started the race together, and then I was just gone. But it was about, because you meet people along the way, and at the aid stations you might meet them, and then you lose them. But there was one guy, I think his name was Ronan, and at like 1 a.m. in the morning, we were pacing each other, the same pace. So we stayed with each other for the whole night, and we finished together the next morning, and it was deadly. So I kind of just met random people at that night. But like any of the big races, like I just put myself up for it, really. Yeah.
100K, no crewing. Just whatever's in your bag, away you go.
Just me, myself, and I.
Phenomenal. We've had so many people mention how special this Kerry Way Ultra is. It has to be on the list for us for someday. But you said something there the following week, Barclay event.
Yeah.
What is a Barclay event?
So it's the Barclay event. So the club do it. We start our runs in Crew Woods. So it's set in Crew Woods. So you go clockwise, anti-clockwise, anti-clockwise. You just keep doing the loops in different directions.
How long's the loop?
It's
20k, is it? Or like a...
Yeah. I think each loop is 8k, 8.2k or something like that. But yeah, I ended up winning that.
As you do.
And that was like a week after the 100k. So they were like, what? Because they were like every time they see me come down, they're like, right, she's gone. She has to be gone. And I ended up winning it. They were like, what the fuck? I was like, the secret is just run 100k the week before and you'll be fine. But yeah, it's good. The club's good though as well, because like even the Backyard Ultra, like I probably wouldn't have done it. There's a guy in the club and he's like big into all long distance as well. So they push you a little bit more to actually get involved. So yeah, it's good.
So when you look at these kind of races, and the way you say it is so modest, because what I'm trying to kind of figure out is what could you do if you actually had a crew and you had people in different places taking some of that load off or some of the pressure off? How much further could we go? Have you thought about anything like that when it looks at some of the longer races that are out there, or what do you think of that? Or are you just happy where you are at the minute, taking it day by day and course by course?
No, like last year was a big learning curve for me, like, because every race I do, I'm learning. Because, like, as I said before, like, I've done them all, maybe on my own, but no crew, very close together, and getting by. But if I want to do a little bit better, performance-wise, time-wise, it would definitely help. So people were asking me about the Kerry this year, will I do the 200k? Obviously, if I done the 200k, I would get a crew and all, but I'm thinking maybe just doing the 100k, maybe with a crew, and then hopefully get better time, maybe come 1, 2, 3, who knows? But yeah, definitely would like to do better in any races that I do again, for sure. Yeah.
Something tells me when you're signing up for that ticket, though, you're going to see 100 and 200. You're going to find it very hard to not get 200.
That's the problem.
Niamh be looking for 300 do for the crack.
She'll do it as an out and back.
Yeah, well, to be honest, because the Art O'Neill is actually the 9th of May, and then the Dublin Backyard Ultra is the 10th, but the Backyard Ultras don't start till Saturday at 12. So people are like, do the Art O'Neill Friday night. You'll be back at the lodge. You'll have 3 hours skip, and then you can start the Backyard Ultra. I was like, no, I don't think I'd do that.
No, that's absolutely insane.
No, I was like, I'm not. I was like, I'm not mad. I'm mad, but I'm not that mad. You can convince me, but I'm just like, no, I'm just going to do one.
So you're doing Dublin again this year?
Yeah, the Backyard Ultra is the 10th of May. Yeah, I'm aiming for 100 miles if I can. We'll see.
That was my next question.
How many hours? How many hours did that translate to? Sorry, 160.
24
miles.
hours.
Obviously,
yeah, 24 hours.
100 miles.
So if I start at 12 Saturday, run till 12 Sunday, I'll have me 100 miles in the bag. But we'll see.
And sounds easier than it is, because obviously that's a tough course. The Dublin course is tough with a big climb
the elevation
in it as well. What preparation are you doing based on some of the struggles you've had with the elevation in previous races?
Let me see. So, like the Dublin, the advantage of doing all these long distances are like near home. They're in the Wicklow Mountains and Dublin Mountains. So I've just been going up there. Like the Dublin, we're not quite sure yet of the Backyard Ultra route. It has changed from where it was last year. So we've just been going up the last couple of Tuesday nights to try suss it out. And yeah, I'm just going to do it a few times before actually race day and see how it goes. But like, it's like you can prepare the body as well. But in any of them races, especially the Backyard Ultra, because it's the same loop every hour, like when your head goes, it's very hard to get back.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just, you've no start to finish. You could be going for days.
It's funny you should say that. When I was going for my 100-mile goal, I was the same night as a Dublin last year when back at Ultra, I went down to Wexford instead because it was just 24 on my own. Whatever, I could time it out that way. But like, I had to come to Jesus meeting 6-7 hours into it, and I was gone for 15-20 minutes. But in the Backyard Ultra, you can't afford that luxury and I was lucky being crewed the year before with Eric. We were hardcore. We didn't know out and back throughout the night, but I didn't survive the night anyway. Where he was there and he like just, okay, here's your food, back out, here's your food, back out. And then my body just went one bang, seized, dead. It's with that elevation and stuff. And in a way, it's. I was talking to Dara, who's a friend of the show. In a way, it's easier doing a backyard ultra because it forces you to keep on going. Like you come in 50 minutes to 10
Yeah.
minutes, forces you to pace yourself. You can only do a certain distance in a certain. You can, no matter how fast or slow you run, you're only able to do 6.7 every hour in the hour. But then if you
Exactly.
have that bad hour, you're done. Like we've had Keith Russell on the podcast and being like, I'm done. And he's like, he does like 80 odd hours and like 50 hours he's done.
Yeah.
And like he had a crew being like,
Yeah, I
you
know.
sleep for 6 minutes and you get the fuck back up and you go again. Like you need that
You
someone
go.
to that dark time to keep going. And like that's why crewing is so important. I wouldn't do half things I could have done without that. And I'm nowhere near what you're doing.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, in the Backyard Ultras, we have a solid crew. And we were always kind of getting back at like 40, 50 minutes, which is sweet because that gives you 10 minutes to do what you need to do. But that's what I like about the Backyard Ultras. It's all about endurance. It's not about how fast you can go. It's about lasting. And yeah, I'm all for the endurance. Yeah. But in them Backyard Ultras, you definitely need crews there when you come back. Because I remember like getting back and like you do be your head, you'd be like, get me this and get me that. And then you'd be, after the race is done, you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I acted like that. I'd be apologizing the next day. They're like, Niamh, do you know you said this to me and you wanted this and you asked this and you said this and you cursed at me? I'm like, sorry. You just...
I wish I had your confidence. I got back and my better half was like, you're fucking eating this and you're eating that and you're eating this. Like, I don't like porridge. That's why I put a twirl mixed up in it, you baby. Just eat the fucking thing. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I can't wait to go back running again. But I wouldn't have done it without her. Like, so it was very lucky with that. Before we talk about how you're spacing this year, we already touched on the Arthur Neal didn't go ahead. And I actually didn't hear this race before until Marky, who's going with us to Barcelona next month, talked about it. The Ballyhora Winter Moonlight Challenge.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Deadly. So it's a 28K. It starts down in Limerick. So it was posted in that group chat. Someone had shared it because obviously people had prepared to run in the night. And it was a night race. So it starts at 7 o'clock. So it's just getting out there in the dark. So there's a few from Dublin here, like Sean Meaton. I don't know, you probably know Sean. Him and his dad, they were going down and I jumped in with them. And yeah, it was great. It was more like, I don't know what time we got home, maybe 2:30 in the morning. They had a big spread out after. Immer races are good. I haven't done many of them. They're fast and I like it. So I'm going to do more. The Mars Mullins is 50K. That is March. Now, someone had sent me a 70K the 8th of February, which is like 2 weeks away. I'm not sure yet, to be honest, if I'm going to do it or not. But yeah, it was good.
How does that fit into your spacing rules? I love
night runs. Well, that's what we were saying. I was talking to Lar that runs Irish Mountain Trail Runners, and it spaces out well because I have the 8th of February, and then the Mars Mullins is the end of March, and then the Backyard Ultra is the 10th of May, and then the Club Barclay is the end of May. So I think they're... Oh, no, I'm doing the Altar in April. Sorry, the 26th of April. That's 100K. My goal is anyway, 50K in March, 100K in April, and 100 miles in May.
What's the Altar race?
So it's in Avondale. It's in Wicklow here. There's a 50K route or a 100K route. It's the 26th of April. It's a new one this year. You may look into it now.
I haven't heard of it yet. I know I've got elevation sometime around there that I'm going to try and get down to. But I haven't heard the one down in Avondale. I haven't mentioned.
Yeah, I'm not fully sure the details. As I say, one of the lads in the run club, he signed up for it and he sent it across. But it's just registered for. There's not much details about it, but it's 26th of May. You should definitely look it up. And then I'll decide on the Immer 70. But the Immer do have nice ones. Like say the Ballyhura, that was a 28K. But like they're fast. Like your man that won that was like an hour and 59, and that was like 800, 900 meters elevation. It was like incredible.
Mountain goats.
Not doing that downhill on a bike.
Yeah.
You took a day off from trail running last October, bank holiday weekend, Dublin Marathon. How did you get on doing that? And did you feel like...
Niamh's face said she was up to something else. She was like, how did he know? What does he know? Everything wrong like, Niamh has done in the last year flashed before her eyes.
Did that give you any graph for road running or anything like that? Or are you just like, one and done, run the streets, get me back up the mountains?
To be honest, I'm all for the trails. And I said that after, I remember crossing the marathon line, I was like, that was deadly. And a woman at the line was like, something wrong with you. But the reason it's just the crowds and the atmosphere. Like, I had never done the Dublin Marathon before. I've done a marathon before in a few halves when I lived away. Dublin Marathon I had never done before, and it's just the people. Everyone's shouting at you. It's like everywhere you look. The atmosphere got me through that, to be honest. But I came off. I enjoyed it, but I'm like, yeah, I'm off for the trails. Yeah, but it was good. It was nice to add in there. I think that was the last one. I think race-wise, October. I don't think I done any in November, December, and then January. Obviously, I had planned the afternoon, which didn't happen. But it was good. I will do it again this year, though. I definitely will do it again.
You ruined my follow-up question because you don't even consider a race. High Rock's just a training day session, yeah? Just piece of piss.
High Rocks is me midweek recovery.
All people talk about how hard High Rocks is. It's like a big, hard, a tough endurance event. Like, High Rocks is not, get your ass up the mountains. 2 weeks after, I think it was.
Yeah, Dublin High Rocks. Oh, do you know what I did actually? We done oh my God, what was in November? Run the Lion. That's what happened. So I had we done the Dublin High Rocks the Friday, but I realised that Run the Line was the next day. And I was like, oh, so I was trying to change tickets because obviously the race was a priority because I wanted to do well in that. I was trying to get a High Rocks ticket for the Sunday after, but if you'd done that, you weren't on to like Sunday night. I was like, I'll just keep the ticket, get the High Rocks out of the way, and I'll just see how I am doing Run the Line. My quads were hurting me a little bit next day, of course. Like pushing and pulling 152k powder, walking lunges and all the rest. And then it just so happened that way. But anyways, I got them both done, didn't I?
You were doing the pro weights, obviously, because did you do mixed doubles then, or did you go pro women?
Yeah, I did mixed doubles with a male. So if you do mixed doubles with a male, you're lifting their weights. So yeah, it was heavy. I remember the only thing asking Tony to do, I was like, the lunges, just help me out with the lunges. But when I got there, your adrenaline's going and you're just like station 7 or 8, I can't remember. And yeah, we just flew it. Yeah.
I really hope.
But yeah, that's it. If I could get into High Rocks again, I will. They're good.
I really hope listeners don't listen back to our Run the Line review from a couple of years ago, because I think I bitch and moan about, I had Dublin Marathon 3 weeks beforehand and I hadn't totally recovered for it. I don't know why I didn't do so well. And there you are doing High Rocks 12 hours before the fucking event and flying pro weights, heavy weights, and then just going straight through 26k. Absolutely phenomenal, Niamh.
Yeah, and I felt grand. And I went, what to do after? I used the sauna after that. And then the Sunday, I think I took the day off. I can't remember. Maybe done something small, but then, yeah, I felt grand afterwards. Monday, new week, hot yoga.
Back to work on Monday.
Strength,
hot yoga.
Back to work in the morning, feeling fresh.
So Niamh, looking at the year ahead, obviously you've done so much in such a broad sense. You've hinted that podiums are 1 or 2 that you're going to hunt. Does that mean you're going to switch to a little bit more focus in one aspect, or are you still going to keep this broad spectrum of events, or because at some point there is a trade-off between trying to be the best in that sport, or so what is the realistic plan for you this year? Obviously, last year you just enjoyed sport, you just loved it,
and they just
what
happened.
What is that plan this year?
Yeah, so I feel like the races last year kind of just happened. I enjoyed them, but this year I'm a bit more serious. So I'm not going to give up what I do because I enjoy everything I do. Okay. So like, for example, race week, I'm going to be a bit more smarter about it. Like sometimes I have a race on a Saturday and I'm training Jiu-Jitsu on a Thursday night. I'm not going to do that this time. If I have a race on the Saturday, like that week, I'm just going to ease back on everything I do. But like, obviously I'm not going to give up anything. A week of race, maybe 2 weeks of race, I'll just ease back. Maybe the week of a race. And yeah, just do it that way.
And if you were to set, not to put pressure on you now, let's say 2 goals, because you've so many, I think saying 1 would be limit you. Saying 5 would probably limit you, but I'm going to stick with 2. If you were to set 2 goals now for this year and looking at the year ahead, because a lot of people, we're just about to turn February, a lot of people have given up on their year, but it's what in your year are you looking at saying, if I can do them 2 things, this is a success for me?
Well, my top 2 sports right now is my mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu and running. Podium race is number 1. And yeah, I want to compete at purple belt. But I'm just going to, are my two goals this
So,
year.
which race are you hoping to podium? Have you set your sights on one?
To see that I was the Kerry Way 100. I think I came in fourth on that.
Okay, so you've unfinished business there.
And I'm not gonna lie,
one
like the
place.
last couple of races I've been doing, like recently, it's just like, coming in fourth almost, and it's just, it's just like days before, it's just tweaking my own little recovery days and all the rest. But I think I'll do the 100 Kerry Way again and see can I get up there.
If you're not first, you're last. Now,
Exactly.
It's
And I'm not there. And I'm not there. At some of the races, I'm actually not just there to, like, some people race for different reasons, whether it's to get it done. But there's some races that I'm doing to actually win. There's one thing getting by, but I want to do well. Yeah, I want to do well.
We can get the sense of the competitive edge, and that's why I know if you're setting your mind to these things, there's eventually podiums will turn into first places, second place. You know, like it's what when you set your sights on something like that with that competitive nature, you want to win. Let's be honest, third place is nice, but you want to win.
Yeah, third place. Yeah, but you want to be a bit better. But that's the goals.
Niamh, with that said, and people listened to the incredible things you've done, bringing your fitness coach and your personal training and that kind of side of the brain back in, as well as the competitiveness, for someone listening to the podcast that wants to get into trail running or is struggling with their running and stuff, do you have any main bits of advice you find you're constantly telling your client, or do you have any bits where you kind of like, this keeps coming up, clients keep thinking this, but it's actually more about this in that they should be doing more in their training, if that question makes sense?
And like, do you mean like how would you get more people out there, motivation? To me, it's more like I think joining the club was the best thing I could have done, because being around people that are like-minded helps, you know, because when you're trying to get out there on your own or you want to do something and you can't, but just being with the club is just, being around like-minded people and joining a club definitely helps for sure.
And you mentioned IMRA a couple of times, and I've heard a lot of people talking about them. Am I right in saying it's reasonably priced races and memberships and a really good group of people?
Oh, it's unreal. So some of the races are like €7, and then the Ballyhura 28k, that was 40, and then you have like pay €10 in membership for the year. Like you volunteer after every 10 races you do as well. But like they're deadly.
That's actually a really clever way of doing it. The volunteering element. You do 10, you have to give one back. You know, it's really, really good.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and some of them are around and they're quite good. Like the March one is 50k. That does be a deadly one in March. And then the Ballyhura last week, that was 28. And then the 70 is in Cork, the 8th of February. They do shorter ones as well, like 6Ks, 8Ks, 10Ks, if you just want to go out and, well, like them guys are sprinting them. I feel like I'm only warming up. I like 10K. I'm like, I need 100 more.
Absolutely brilliant. Niamh, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on to the podcast this week, and just hearing your stuff like that. I feel like I need to get a run in now because I did absolutely nothing good support compared to what you did. It's been great hearing you and hearing your journey so far. And one thing, just to bring it all home, what you've talked about is when we have people in the podcast talking about all the different events and stuff, it's usually over a 3, 4, 5 year period getting into running.
Yeah.
We're barely 12 months.
I'm like, I want to race every month. And Laura's like, no, you don't. Just you relax into it. Because I was like, because then obviously the RTO that happened, and I was like, now what? Because my plan was to race January, none February, and then race March, April, May, and then make more plans. And then nothing happened. And then that's why I was like, right, 28k last Friday night. I was like, right, I have to go, I have to do something. And then, people do mention races to me as well that come up kind of last minute. So like the February the 8th, I might do, we'll see. But I don't really need to race every month, but I'd like to.
and all of this, as Sean was saying, done over just 1 year. So it's been an impressive journey so far, and we are so excited to see what the next year will bring. We'll hold you to it now. We'll be giving you abuse in the comments if you're doing too many races. Well, look, Niamh, you've made us feel bad in a good way. It's great to see someone doing so much and doing so much with their time and enjoying sport and enjoying what they do. It's been great to get to know you, and we'll keep an eye on what the year brings for you, and we'll see what the Kerry Way Ultra looks like, whatever distance you go for. But the very best of luck with the year ahead.
Thank you so much, guys.
And that's it for this week's episode of the Any Given Day podcast. Myself, Niamh, and Eric. Take care.